How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I am your host, Richie. My advanced apologies if you hear a little too much background noise. Our central air conditioning here at the house went out, so I had to make a mad dash to Home Depot and get me a couple of fans, as well as an AC unit, two of them to be exact. So had to kind of move the whole gang in here last night. We're not going to get my central air fixed till Wednesday. So if we have any sound issues, my sincere apologies. But, just wanted to say that I hope everybody, particularly in the Southeast, other areas that got affected by this most recent hurricane, are doing all right. Idris, my co-host, we haven't heard from you for quite a few hours. Definitely get at Chanel or me, make sure that you're doing all right, but I know that it could be something as simple as a power issue. And speaking of power, two powerhouses in the East and Western Conference in the NBA most definitely are going to be looking potentially even more dangerous. As, of course, I'm talking about the New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves making a massive, massive deal, sending Dante DiVincenzo to the Minnesota Timberwolves along with Julius Randle. In return, the Knicks get stretch big man Karl Anthony Towns. I'm not going to lie. Initially, when this deal came over the air, I was pretty pissed because I really enjoyed the Villanova connection that the Knicks had built. And Dante DiVincenzo is the kind of shooter that you don't want to lose. But you can't get something without giving something valuable up, and I more than understand that. But I believe this deal says a couple of things. It says that Leon Rose and the Knicks brass did not feel that Julius Randle was the best compliment for Jalen Brunson. I think that goes without saying. I also believe that with Mitchell Robinson, who will likely not be healthy until Christmas or after, this was the Knicks' way of saying that they needed a big man. We saw how the undersized Knicks really got owned inside the paint last year in the playoffs, whether it was at the hands of Turner or Joel Embiid. With Cat, you're getting a guy that's going to put up over 20 points a game, in addition to bringing some serious defense. And I think that's something that the Knicks acknowledge that they're definitely going to need moving forward. DiVincenzo's a tough loss, not going to lie. But the truth is, by bringing back OG Anunoby and by doing the trade to bring over Mikal Bridges from Brooklyn, DiVincenzo's minutes were going to be severely decreased to begin with. Now, his current contract has him as a free agent yet again after 2026. So this might be a little bit of a bold proclamation, but I'm going to predict ahead of time that I think Dante DiVincenzo's days with the Knicks will not be over. He will just return later in his career. Of course, there's a lot that can happen, and we will stay tuned to see how that goes. But in the Timberwolves case, I think from a floor spacing standpoint, this is something very beneficial for them. You already have a bona fide superstar in Anthony Edwards who's only going to get better. Now your shooting gets better, bringing in a guy like DiVincenzo, who's actually going to get more minutes over in Minnesota. Randle is a great offensive player, but I feel that the Knicks have enough scorers. They need a guy that they know is going to make a further commitment to defense, and I don't believe that Julius Randle brought that. I appreciate everything that he did do. Richie Dorney, what's up, dog? I do appreciate everything that Randle brought, because he was the first player who made it cool to be a Knick again and kind of got us out of that dark era of just terrible basketball, which went on for the better part of 2 decades. In that regard, I wish Julius Randle the absolute best, him and his family. I hope Minnesota treats him well. I'm sure he will be a great addition But I think this is the proper move for the Knicks to get to the next level and to hopefully win that ever elusive championship. The Knicks have not hoisted an NBA banner for winning a championship. You got to go all the way back to 73. They won 2 in the 70s, 70 and 73. It's been that long. But right now, the way I look at it is Jalen Brunson. The beautiful thing about this, you get rim protection. We were not able to bring Isaiah Hartenstein back. So it was no secret that the New York Knicks needed a center. And it's, a guy that can stretch the floor, a guy that can run the floor, and a guy that can protect the rim. And I also think this makes life a little easier in the paint when Brunson is getting doubled and he's looking to facilitate. Karl Anthony Towns could finish around the rim. You have a couple of good finishers around the rim. You also have OG Anunoby coming back. I know some people were skeptical about how much money he's making. But one thing that cannot be argued is the record that the New York Knicks have when OG plays. Last year, the Knicks were 1 victory shy of the Eastern Conference Finals. They were a depleted bunch by the time they faced Indy and during the Indy series. Even Brunson got injured in that ever-important Game 7. This is the Knicks' way of showing their fans that they're serious about winning a championship. And I also want to say that another reason why I think the Knicks felt comfortable making this deal is because the Knicks really did good in the draft. And I personally think that Tyler Kolek is going to be battling Deuce McBride and others in that Knicks backcourt to get substantial minutes backing up Jalen Brunson. And now that DiVincenzo moves on, I believe that that's a very real thing. The Knicks had a very, very good draft, and I think the second unit is going to be just fine. As Mitchell Robinson goes, I think the nice thing about this is that in the fourth quarter, you could have both big men on the court, where one's duties is to essentially sweep everything away underneath the basket, and also it will be a deterrent for Karl Anthony Towns picking up some fourth quarter fouls. Now, we're not going to see Mitch probably until the new year or late December. But, if you didn't upgrade the center position, you can't sell your fan base that you're trying to really win it all and that you're going to make an honest case to be better. The only thing that I wish the Knicks could have done was somehow keep Dante DiVincenzo out of this trade and maybe deal out, other picks, other players. I would have rather been okay parting with Deuce McBride as opposed to DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo, some big playoff moments last year in an expanded role. And, he won over the hearts of many a Knicks fan. So I wish both of our former Knicks really well. Welcome to NYC, Cat. I think you're going to do a phenomenal job. And I know that some people are worried about Cat's injury history. The bottom line is last year he wasn't injured. He contributed in a very big way, getting the Minnesota Timberwolves to the Western Conference Finals. So I think, he and Thibodeau in past stop did have a little bit of heat, but he's also very familiar with Thibodeau's system. And I think this is a proper move and one that the Knicks have. Because when you think about some of the bigs in the Eastern Conference that the Knicks have to deal with, the likes of Bam Adebayo, the likes of a Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, to name a few, this is a move that the Knicks most definitely needed to certify themselves as a big-time player and a team that can possibly vie for the one spot and win an NBA title. And I hope Dante comes back when he's a free agent, one of my favorites. Moving it along to Major League Baseball, I'm going to hit you with this. Why I believe the Yankees can get over the playoff hump and win number 28. Well, for one, since demoting Clay Holmes out of the bullpen, the Yankees are closing out games better, and their ninth innings aren't as, how would you say, nerve-wracking. It's kind of ironic that Aroldis Chapman, former Yankee, guy that had a great peak but also had a substantial fall, gets the save in a meaningless game for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But, right now the Yankees, it's all about positioning your rotation, getting your guys ready for the final stretch. And Dorney, I think you're still watching. I got to tell you this. When you stop freaking out about your Mets, have a little faith, goddammit. I don't even like the Mets. But I think you boys are going to find a way to make the playoffs. You're tied with the Braves. I know that a lot of Met fans are like, oh, God, I've seen this movie before. You guys have a really good pitching staff. And you guys have had some of the best pitching metrics since the beginning of the summer. I think the New York Mets are going to find a way to hold on, sneak into the playoffs. And today I've got the Mets winning in Milwaukee against a very good Brewers team, and I've got the Kansas City Royals going into Atlanta and winning that. Now back to my beloved Yankees. It goes without saying that the addition of Jazz Chisholm has paid big dividends. He's in the 20 home run bracket, 10 as a Yankee. I believe that there is one issue that is worth considering. Jason Dominguez gives a better bat than Alex Verdugo, but he has been a bit of a mess in left field. We got Soto in the mix as well. Obviously, Giancarlo Stanton doesn't play the field. If I'm the Yankees, I put Aaron Judge in left, I put Jason Dominguez in center, and I put Juan Soto in right. I understand that Judge is a captain, but part of being a captain is doing what's best for the team. Dominguez has played a lot more in lower class ball, whether it be triple or double A, in the center field position, because I don't think it's a wise idea to lose his bat in the playoffs. Verdugo is obviously the superior fielder, but you need to score runs in the playoffs. And, you're going to get some of the best pitching in the playoffs as well, so runs could be at a premium. But the 1-2 of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, I feel very confident that the New York Yankees can definitely get to the ALCS or further. And my prediction in the ALCS is that the New York Yankees will cross paths with their hated rivals, the Houston Astros. And this is the year that the Yankees finally get over the hump and beat the Astros. In the National League, the Dodgers have not had the best track record in terms of getting through that tourney and getting to the World Series. But I believe that this is a different Dodger team, and I believe that Shohei Ohtani is a different kind of dude. I'm not quite sure who's going to represent their opponent in the NLCS, but I will say this. As of right now, the Dodgers, I'm very confident about. Don't sleep on the Padres. The Padres are hungry, and they look really good. But my World Series prediction, as per going back to a lot of publications in the beginning of the year, if my memory serves me right, I believe I predicted the Dodgers and the Orioles when the season started. I did pick the Orioles to win the East. Obviously, my Yankees proved me wrong. I got the World Series matchups of the late 70s and early 80s. I got the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees going at it in the World Series. And I got the New York Mets making the playoffs. Relax, Dorney. It's going to be all right. Week 4 NFL picks. Normally, I bring a big bunch of people for these, but because of the storm and because of some of the setbacks I had this week, as I already alluded to, the living room situation has been rough. I got my little and my lady and myself all staying in the living room up until Wednesday when we get our central air fixed. But just to give you a little, look at this. Got me an AC window unit. Haven't had one of those since my days in Long Island because, you don't have central air up north. That's my little right there. Noah, say hi. What are you playing anyway? Lego Fortnite? Yeah, he's chilling. Not going to show a picture of mommy. She's kind of knocked out right now, getting her beauty rest. On to my Week 4 NFL picks. The Denver Broncos are heading to East Rutherford, New Jersey to take on the 2-1 New York Jets. Anyone who saw Thursday Night Football 2 weeks ago saw the Jets utterly dominate the New England Patriots in every phase of the game. Aaron Rodgers, for the first time since becoming a New York Jet, was completely locked in. And I expect more of that. While the Denver Broncos do have an above-average defense, I think that Bo Nix is going to be seeing so many different looks from the Jets defense, and it's going to overwhelm him and possibly cause up to 2 or 3 turnovers. I like Breece Hall to lead the way, getting around 80 to 85 yards rushing, and I think you're going to see a couple of connections between Rodgers and Lazard, as well as Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. This game also has a bigger meaning for Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator of the Jets, because this is not the first time they've played the Broncos since Sean Payton made some insulting comments about his coaching style and basically saying that know what he was doing, referring to Hackett. But this is the first time Hackett has Rodgers for this matchup, and they are very close. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to hold his coach high, and he's going to put a beat down on the Denver Broncos. Broncos are coming off a feel-good win in Tampa, but they are not that good, and they're going to be exposed, so to speak. I like the Jets to go 3-1 and keep pace chasing the Buffalo Bills in that ultra-competitive AFC East at the top. Of course, the Dolphins, because of the Tua injury, are kind of extracted from the equation until further notice. But the Bills and the Jets are two heavy hitters and two teams that will be playing well into July, possibly one of them into February. We've got the Washington Commanders heading to Arizona to take on the 1-2 Cardinals. Jaden Daniels coming off his best game of his very young career. He was a stud on the national stage, winning a shootout against Joe Burrow and co. My question is, can Kyler Murray take advantage of a very leaky Commanders secondary? Well, it all starts with Marvin Harrison Jr. I do believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. has the ability to get behind that defense. But I think one of the big losses of Trey McBride not being able to go this week, who is one of the young and ascending tight ends, and you got Eckler, who is also hurt, that's gonna potentially even out the injury spectrum. But having said that, the Commanders are feeling pretty good about themselves right now. And no, they're not a complete team. They're going to have to figure out what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. But I believe the Commanders are up for the task. I believe that they're going to be able to do what they've been doing, which is put points up in bunches. I like the Commanders to win this thing 30-20 on the road. And my official prediction for the Jet game, Jets 27, Broncos 13. Moving it along to Santa Clara, we got the New England Patriots taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Both of these teams have substantial injuries. No team in the league has more than the 49ers right now. They were my preseason prediction to win the Super Bowl, my preseason pick to win it all, but they are just missing so many players. This is a get-right game because New England is too inept on the offensive side of the ball. I think the 49ers win this thing going away rather easily despite the injuries, and they're going to stick their chest out and finally finish a game. I got the Niners winning this thing 27-10 over the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots are going to be able to compete. This is a game of two Jekyll and Hyde acts. We got the Cleveland Browns at 1-2 going to Vegas to take on the Raiders, also 1-2. Both these teams coming off bad losses last time out. Browns giving up 8 sacks to my New York Giants, and the Raiders allowing the lowly Panthers after making the quarterback change to ruin their home opener. It was kind of alarming to see the Raiders put up such a dud, considering that they beat the Baltimore Ravens the previous week. But it's just a reminder that nothing's given in the NFL, and you got to earn it every week. Former Giant Antonio Pierce, who's currently coaching the Raiders, made it clear that he felt that certain players were out for themselves, doing business for themselves. And when you're an old school-minded coach like AP, you don't want to get on the wrong side of him. I expect the Raiders to compete, but I got the Browns winning a close one here. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. I got the Browns winning this thing 20-17. The question is, which of these two quarterbacks is going to make enough plays? And while I'm not the most confident in Deshaun Watson, I think they will do enough to sneak it out. I still feel very highly about that Browns defense. We've got a battle in the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs are undefeated and you're two in a row defending champions, 3 of the last X amount of years. Going to LA, 2-1. Chargers lost a hard-fought game to the Steelers. I do like the new look style of the Chargers. They are no longer flinging the ball as much as they used to. They are more ground and pound, high efficiency, low risk passing. Justin Herbert is dinged up. Kansas City Chiefs, I know to the dismay of a lot of NFL fans, have been the beneficiaries of way too many calls going their way. And while I don't like it, and while I think it was kind of egregious what they got away with in the Atlanta game, enough to the point where even Raheem Mostert Raheem Morris was afraid to speak on it because you don't want to get fined and get on the wrong sides of the ref for future battles. But when you are that good and when you are the face and the brand of the NFL, you are going to get more calls. They're not the first team. New England Patriots used to get a lot of calls during their glory run. But it is a little disheartening because the Chiefs are that good, and you say to yourself, why do you need help from the refs when you're that good already? It's the nature of the beast. As the game goes, I think the Chiefs' defense is going to get after Justin Herbert when it matters most, and they're going to find a way to continue their undefeated streak. I've got the Chiefs winning this thing 27-20. I think the 20 points for the Chargers will make the score look a little better, but I'm thinking like a late field goal from Dicker. Then they're going to try to recover. And quite frankly, I just don't think it's going to be enough. But I do like what Harbaugh is building with the Chargers. And in time, I think they're going to be a very good team. And definitely a playoff hopeful this year because a couple of teams, like, say, the Miami Dolphins, are probably looking at high draft position because of the Tua concussion situation. Sunday Night Football brings us to Baltimore. The Buffalo Bills, undefeated at 3-0, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I already got the Ravens at 1-3. Let me fix that. My apologies. This is a great game where the stars align. Two of the best quarterbacks in all of football in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Buffalo looked unstoppable last week against the boys from Duval. They were able to run at will. They were able to pass at will and just really dissect that Jaguar secondary. And Josh Allen was basically playing 7-on-7, catch and throw, just having a good time. As the Ravens go, they're looking to finish the month of September with a 500 record. They were able to hold on last week against the Dallas Cowboys. I am not sold on this Ravens team just yet. Chris Dixon, where you at? You had all that to say, and I still haven't seen you around these parts since that chirping about your Ravens. They are a talented team. But I still feel that the combo of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson is not serving each other well to their highest potential. And I said it before, I will say it again. No Patrick Queen is definitely a bad thing, and I think Josh Allen is going to take full advantage of the middle of the field. He is going to go shot for shot with Baltimore until the Bills defense makes enough stops, which I believe they will. I got the Bills winning this thing 34-27 in a high-octane shootout. I think the Ravens are going to hang around, but I think the Bills got the better team. And I think the Bills, as of right now, are the best threat to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs. What I love about what the Bills are doing right now is that with the absence of Stephon Diggs, you no longer have to force it in to a receiver that is constantly demanding the ball. And what that ultimately does is it makes Josh Allen a better quarterback because he's involving every asset that he has in that offense. It's not just about one player. And I think that pays dividends. You look at a guy like Khalil Shakir, who is ascending into one of the absolute best slot men in all of professional football right now. Josh Allen is that dude. And I really believe that the Buffalo Bills are about to go 4-0. And I admire what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball, too. It's quite exciting when you really think about prospects for Buffalo. Last year's crushing defeat to the Kansas City Chiefs, a game that I think Buffalo should have won but didn't wrap up. There were a lot of ramifications after that. A lot of people thought that head coach Sean McDermott was going to get fired. A lot of people thought that Tyler Bass was going to be replaced as kicker. Josh Allen took the biggest stand of leadership, supporting his embattled coach, supporting his embattled kicker. One thing that I always admire about Josh Allen is that whenever they lose, it's never anyone else's fault but his own. That is the sign of a true leader, a true gentleman, and a great teammate. And I have the utmost respect for Josh Allen. I think he's the best quarterback currently in professional football. I know some people will scoff at that because of his playoff failures to Mahomes. But quite frankly, I think a lot of Mahomes' success, while he is a great one in his own right, comes from having a better coaching staff and having a better defense. The combination of Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid has been sensational. But I most definitely have this game going in the direction of the Buffalo Bills, and it could potentially be the best game of the week. We got 2 Monday Night Football games this week, so I'm going to get on that. I'm going to start it up in Miami Gardens. The Titans at 0-3 taking on the Dolphins at 1-2. This Dolphins offense has been a shell of itself since the unfortunate concussion to Tua Tagovailoa. I personally think Tua should retire from the NFL. It is not worth it. You only get one brain, and you got to protect it. He has a family. He's made his money. He's still young enough. I hope he walks away from the game. And I know it's hard to do when you love the game. It's a very hard thing to do, a very tough decision, but I think one that he needs to make. Without Tua, this offense is in shambles. It's a shame because you're losing the plus variables of guys like Devin Achane, guys like Jalen Waddle, and of course, Tyreek Hill. They've just had a lot of trouble scoring points, bottom line. They have not been able to put up points. I don't expect much more points to go up here. This is going to be a bona fide defensive struggle. You're going to see a lot of field goals in this game. But I do have Miami squeaking this one out because I don't have much faith in that Tennessee offense either. I got the Dolphins winning this thing to the tune of a 15-13 score. It might be a true snoozer, but I got the Dolphins winning the game without actually hitting pay dirt. Now, of course, I got Reek and Achane in one particular league, my big money one, so I'm going to hope that they could figure out offense. I still feel that this is a team that could be making a deal for a quarterback before the deadline to ensure that they don't get buried and lose their way in a very competitive, very saturated, very congested AFC. The AFC is definitely the power conference. Monday Night Football Game 2 takes us to Detroit. The Seahawks traveling to the Motor City, 2-1 Lions, taking on the surprising undefeated Seattle Seahawks. I'm asking, is this going to have the makings of another overtime thriller? It's possible. I'm still not sold on that Detroit defense. While I love what they do on offense, and I think you have 2 excellent running backs as well as a top 5 receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, I have not seen enough from their defense to lead me to believe that they can't give up the big play variables. Geno Smith has actually cooked in these kind of environments, indoor games over the last couple of years. Having said that, I still like the Lions to win in a high-scoring affair. I'm going Lions 30, Seattle 24. And yeah, you know what? Let's give them another overtime thriller. I'm, of course, talking about the home opener just a couple of years ago where these 2 teams locked horns and Seattle walked it off. This time around, I like the home team, and I think the Seahawks get their first loss of the season. Not bad. I didn't get too tongue-tied. Not used to doing these previews on my own, but did the absolute best I can given the circumstances. In case you were jumping in late, yeah, I not lost power, but I had an issue with my central air. And I woke up in the middle of the night. My little guy had over 103 fever. So we were in a bit of a panic. We had to make sure that we cooled down this house. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to fix the AC until midweek next week. It was, unfortunately, the compressor. But, thankful that we have power. Thankful that we're all together. And it could always be worse. Shouts out to some of my friends scattered around the Southeast. I know a friend of mine, Mark Tarrant, recently said that he lost his power, but they finally got it back. So shouts out to him, friend of the show. Idris, if you're watching, please get back to either me or Chanel. I know she was concerned about you, your co-host, on Casual Convo. Enjoy the college games today, too. I got a little parlay going, centered around my Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. We'll see how that plays out. Until next time, I am Richie for myself. Thank you all for taking a little part of your Saturday and hanging with me. announcements to come for our next show, and I'm going to get with the boys, and we're going to put together a baseball playoff bracket special. We out.